And hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for this live. I'm very excited. It's been quite a while since I last did a live here on Instagram, so I'm quite excited. Quite a bit rusty too, but let me get my flow back. Just a short word of intro. My name is Carol. I am the founder of Parentally, and we Parentally are a platform that connects parents with all the different professionals that can help you prepare and navigate all the twists and turns of parenthood, from pregnancy and beyond. So we have a very diverse network of professionals, from childbirth instructors to lactation consultants, doulas, child sleep coaches, massage therapists, coaches, counselors, you name it. And you can easily connect with all of these professionals on our platform, parentally.nl. And we are also here to provide community support through our events and, of course, the right information for parents to navigate parenthood here in the Netherlands. I'm very happy to have our guest today, Victoria Walker. Victoria, I think the best is for me to leave you the floor so you can introduce yourself. But thank you so much for joining us. I'm very excited to be talking about what we're going to talk about.
Yeah. Thanks, Carol. I met Carol at the Expat Fair just over a year ago. That's how we connected, and I love the platform Parentally of how to, where you can look for advice and help and support, because that was missing when I was, my children were younger. I have a counselling and coaching company called Calming Minds, and I'm based in Amstelveen, but I also do online, lots of online coaching and counselling as well. And I feel that I feel that it's important to come speak to somebody before things get too big.
Absolutely.
And we're going to talk a bit more about that later on.
Yes, and we're going to dive into this. And of course, we met 1 year ago, and I was very excited about what you were doing, because this is such an important topic. Counseling and also getting the support you need when you are struggling before or after birth, and I told you, like, it would make a great addition to Parentally and to the network of professionals we have. And one of the topics that I think is very important and that people talk a lot about is the impact that having a baby has on the couple's relationship. And I told you, I think it would be great if we could do a live about this, to talk about, all the taboos, all the myths, and how, welcoming a baby really impacts a couple, and how to navigate and how to actually navigate this major transition. So thank you very much for joining us for this live. Just a quick word: this live is recorded. If you cannot stay until the end, we will share it on our feed and also on our YouTube channel. Please don't forget to subscribe. But yeah, let's start with a very the connection is bad apparently. I'm so sorry. Let me check this. Right, network. Okay, let's continue. Let me know if the connection is still bad. Can you see me well, Victoria?
Yeah, okay. I can see and hear you.
Let's try. But yeah, the big question, that everyone wonders: how does actually welcoming a baby impact the couple's relationship?
It's a subject I don't think in my circle hasn't been talked about a lot until it gets to be a problem. Often when there's a baby coming, there's all the excitement about a baby. There's a lot of focus on the birth, a lot of focus on the pregnancy, and not so much focus yet on what happens next. And it's the biggest change in a relationship, or one of the biggest changes in a relationship, is going from just that couple to parents. And it throws everything in, changes everything that you've known. And even if this is something that you really, really want and you're very prepared for it, mentally it's very different. So you were a couple before, and now you're parents with this small being that has everything that is needed for them is your responsibility. And couples that come into my counselling room often find that they've kind of lost their way. It's changed everything, and they're focusing on the baby, or they're focusing on the trying to work, trying to juggle everything and the practicalities, but the relationship is also very important. So it's about changing identity from just being a couple, but also being a parent, but also keeping that connection with the couple. That's really important. And especially with people that we might see here, is often you're out of your native country. Yes. You're in a country without that natural support network that you would have had you been living somewhere where you've grown up. And I often see people with different cultural differences as well. So you might have mixed culture families that have different ideas about how to bring up a baby, or different experiences that they have grown up with. Yes. So it's also about putting those together. So there's so many things that come up that you probably haven't even thought about. Yes. Before you have this baby. Yes, absolutely. And it's really hard. Thank you. Actually, I would like to dive a deeper into this, because, you know, when you don't know, when it's your first child, you don't know what to expect, really, right? No. So, like, in your experience, what are some of the most common challenges that, you know, new parents, new couples face when they have a baby? I think there's practical challenges, which is the lack of sleep, the finding time, like when you're caring for a baby's needs are immediate, that nappy change or that feed is immediate. So there's those practical things. There's also the emotional side of it, especially with all the hormone changes and the emotional side of having this person to look after. That is all a big change. And then you've got the relationship changes. And find when you've got a new baby, there's not so much time, because the time goes on that baby. So having time together that you maybe would have time to sit and even have an uninterrupted conversation might not happen. So that's another challenge. And every single baby is different. Every single family is different. There's no manual to say this is the way to do it. So having to think about, how are we going to navigate this as parents together and find your way? And I think seeing a counsellor or a coach gives you that time to be able to sit and focus on that, because there's so many other things going on. Is there a way that you can actually prepare for that? You know, like I said, like you shared some common challenges that you're going to face, but I really feel like, you know, with this transition, you hear a lot from everywhere. Actually, you hear also a lot of myths and taboos, you know, about parenthood and how it's going to be, you know. You also hear horror stories, you know, and you don't know. So I hear that you say yes, you should not wait until you want to go and see a counselor or a coach. But can you actually also prepare in advance? Are there things that you can do to try to protect the relationship? I think one good thing is to have those conversations. Have those conversations beforehand. How do you see this working out? How are we going to bring up our child? Are we doing gentle parenting? Are we doing different style? You know, talk about how you've been brought up yourself. How was I brought up as a child? Do I want to do it the same? Do I want to do it different? How is it going to work? And trying to anticipating that, you know, there might be differences, and having a conversation about it in an open and way really helps to think, okay, maybe we do want to do it differently, or maybe you do have a very different idea than I have. And if you preempt that before you have the baby, things might change and you might change your mind, but at least it's that open conversation and realizing that there may be differences that could cause conflict in the future. I also work with people with a form of communication called nonviolent communication. It's about communicating needs and wants, but without judgment. And that's, if you get an open way of communicating without that judgment before and get that set in your system, then that will help then when you have those challenging situations that you need and emotions get involved and lack of sleep and that you might not be as calm as you could be sitting in a counselling room or a coaching session and talking things through beforehand.
I think you thank you very much for this tips. You mentioned something also quite interesting. It's the cultural differences, and is this something that you see often in your practice? Couples who find out later down the road that these differences are really a challenge or an issue.
Yeah, cultural differences can be a challenge, and often it doesn't become evident until after you've had the baby.
Yes.
Especially if I also see some people who have parents from their home country or family from the home country coming and staying for a longer amount of time to help out, then that also brings up more of the grandparents particularly saying, we do it this way, and the parents are like, well, I don't really know because this is new and this is a new baby and we haven't really thought about that, and the conflict starts. And if the more prepared you are beforehand, I believe that less conflict might come up. And yeah, there's no right or wrong answer. There's no magic wand, but the open communication is really vital, I think.
But it's really not easy, right?
No, it's
to have these conversations.
No, it's not. No, it's not. And that's why sometimes you might need somebody else to help facilitate that conversation. Having a couple session, 1 or 2 sessions before you have the baby, to bring up these things in a way where somebody can help you to navigate that difficult conversation really does help.
I think in some ways it's a bit similar to when you get married, like religious marriage, and you get this preparation. It's like this, because it can be very hard conversations. To look also back in your past and your culture and your. So I can imagine how having a counselor can help with that. Actually, I wanted to ask you about. In your experience, what are some of the biggest myths and taboos that you have about what a couple should look like after having a baby?
I think in this day and age of social media, it makes it's more difficult because you see pictures of the perfect family and people going out with their baby and people out for dinner with the pram and their baby sleeping or their baby carrying, and everything's all perfect and wonderful. But it is a challenge. It's a big change in your life, and it's wonderful. As a parent, I'm very, very glad I have 2 children and I'm the parent, but it was not without its challenges. My first baby would not cope in situations with other people. She screamed, so we could never go out for a restaurant. And I used to think, why are those people all right and they're able to go out with the baby and we can't? She would scream if we went out for a walk. So it was very difficult to get out. So we decided as a couple to book a babysitter every Saturday for 3 hours. And we went out for 3 together as a couple every Saturday. We were fortunate we were able to do that because we didn't have family here to help out. But we were able to step away. We were able to have conversations. Even if we just went for a walk, we didn't have to do anything big. We just went for a walk and we knew our baby was looked after. And we were able to get that connection back as a couple. And I was talking to my husband about this. I said, what advice would you give as the husband point of view? And he said, absolutely, that would be the biggest thing of advice that he would give. So going back to the myths, the myth is that it's all rainbows and unicorns and wonderful. It is wonderful and it's very rewarding, but it is challenging too. And taking that time to step back, because it can be all consuming, especially when the babies are tiny, to taking a step back to connect with your partner really, really, really does help.
And like kind of really like integrating this really in your routine, like making it like some kind of a rendezvous really, right?
Yeah. And if it's already booked and sorted once a week, once a fortnight, once a month, whatever you can find as a couple, then you don't have to think about it. It's taking away that mental load of thinking about it. And we used to sometimes go, oh, it's Saturday. We've got some time.
Yes. Yeah, that's a great tip. Thank you very much. And so let's look into, when you reach this point where you feel like something is not going well and you want to reach out, how does it work exactly? Like, okay, like in a couple relationship, do you go as a couple to the counselor, or can you go alone? How does it work, basically? I think this is a very basic question, but
you can do both. Depends on the counsellor. Some counsellors don't work with couples, some work with both, with couples and individuals. But in my opinion, there is a good need for both. Because there might be something that somebody wants to say, but they don't want their partner to hear yet, or in that raw way that is coming out. So I can have people, and other counsellors, you can have people as individual sessions, and then bring them together and have sessions together to be able to help navigate those difficult conversations. But it doesn't mean that it has to be exclusively individual or not. Or sometimes people have their own individual counsellors, and then they come to somebody different for the couples counselling. But it's very much personal choice. As a counsellor, I think I would like to see them separately and together, because then you get more in depth and you're able to help navigate. But it's really personal choice.
And in general, like, is there I don't know, an average duration of sessions that you have together, or does it depend really on the situation?
Yeah, it depends on the situation. Really depends. Some couples, one session is enough to sort of sort out something and get on the same page. You could book a series of sessions, say, right, we're going to go once a week for 6 weeks, or you could say, we'll do one now and then we'll see how it goes. It's very individual. It's very individual. I don't know of a set formula.
I'm going to say something a bit controversial, but I think there is a stigma around, going to see a counselor as a couple. But I also feel like people wait until the not the last minute, but until things gets maybe too bad. And what is your advice? Like, really to anticipate, or to?
I think there's different cultural differences as well with that. Some cultures it's not taboo to go and see a counsellor, and they do it automatically, and other cultures it is, because some cultures feel like it's failing if you need somebody else's help.
Yes.
However, just like preventative medicine, you can go and see somebody before it gets too difficult.
Yes.
And if people can and they're able to go and see a counsellor to help them with that, getting their mind set in an open way before they have the baby, I think then it's easier. I think when things get really difficult, emotions take a part, and then rational thinking is harder to come through, because emotional responses come out more easily. So preventative is also a good idea.
Nice. And there was a question also in the chat. Do you have any recommendations for literature or books that can help?
The Nonviolent Communication book is a good one that I can recommend. And that's a good one about communicating without judgment. And you can also do small courses with that. I can't think of anything else on the top of my head, but I can have a think.
Nice. Okay, great. That would be really nice, and then I will include them in the caption. So now the last question that I like to ask to our guests during the live: what would be your golden advice for future parents?
Keep talking, keep communication open, and be honest, without judgment.
Mm-hmm.
The more we talk and we talk things through, it's difficult. It can be very difficult to talk with people openly and honestly. But the more we talk and keep communication going, then the better we can understand each other and understand why things are happening. And as I said before, emotions take over sometimes, especially with lack of sleep and lack of support and everything being so different. And our emotional response comes out more than our rational mind. So if you just keep talking and take that time, and take time to step away, and whether that's booking a babysitter or finding a friend who will sit with the baby for half an hour while you go and take a shower, or an hour while you just go and walk around the block or something. If I go back to thinking about people living here without their family, you've got to find your tribe. And yeah, it might not be a parent or a sister or somebody like you may have in your home country, but there are lots of people here without that.
Yes.
And I found people. And I know Parentally are doing parent mornings as well, so you might find your tribe there. You might find it somewhere else, but try and find your tribe of people that you can you trust, that can help.
That's the golden advice. Yes, community is key for sure. Find your village.
Find a village, and keep communicating, keep talking.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Victoria, for sharing all these insights with us. So this live has been recorded, and I will share it in coming days on our Instagram feed and also on YouTube. You can find Victoria on Parentally, and I will also tag her Instagram account if you want to reach out to her. She's in Amsterdam, but she also does online consults. Is there anything you would like to add before we end this live?
Thank you for this, Carol. It was really nice to speak to. I don't know who's there, but thanks everyone for joining. And it's enjoy it. Enjoy having a baby, but don't think it has to be all perfect. And there'll be challenges, but there are people out there who can help and support.
Yes.
And find that help.
For sure. Excellent. Thank you so much, Victoria, for doing this with us today. Thank you, everyone, for watching this live, and I hope to see you again soon.
Yeah. Bye. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.